Welcome. My name is David Duarte, and I'm just here to help you work through some of the startings of using Blackboard here in Deer Valley Unified School District. So one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to log into the portal, which I will do right now. Can't see my password. Then over here on the left, you should see Blackboard. Now, if you don't have Blackboard over here, you can assign any of these icons by clicking more, and then you can see any of these icons and you can drag and drop them over here. So if you're missing Blackboard, just look for it. So we're going to go ahead and click on Blackboard, and then we're going to come up with my classes in Blackboard. And we're going to see that my first class down here is my summer class, which is no longer available. And now we're going to move over here to fall of 14, which is my class that I teach here in the eSchool. So I'll go ahead and click on a class, and then that's going to open up my class. Now, I haven't done any updating currently for this class. Class starts here in a few weeks, but I will be updating much of this as we go in here. So the first thing I want you to notice is over here on the right is this button called Edit Mode. Edit Mode being on means that you can see everything that's available in your class. If the Edit Mode is off, this is the mode that would show what it looks like to a student. So when the student comes into the class, this is what it would look like to them. So kind of small, but for all the content that I have to build my entire course, I would have the Edit Mode on. Click it again. And then all my assignments that I have created for my class will pop up here shortly, and I will be able to edit. So here are all of my assignments for my class, and here you see finals from summer, and you can see all the units that I have in my class. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to go through all of these and go through all the units. So first over here, you're going to see my class, announcements, student orientation, assignments, messages, so on and so on. So the first thing is announcements. This is the page that I make my class start in on the first day. This is kind of like me reading the syllabus to my students. So this I will show you later how to force your students into these different sections so you can create where you want the students to log in at, because on different days you might want them to go to different places. After the first few days, you maybe don't want them to go to the announcements, maybe you want to go them straight to their assignments. I'll show you how to do all that. So you can see right here that I have created a long announcement for my students. I've included how to navigate all the sections over here and a description of what they all do, just communicating with me so they can text me. You can text me now too if you'd like. Here's the software that I recommend. I'm a Mac user at home, so I use Safari, but that's only if you're a Mac user. And then these are my browsers that I like to use. I use a lot of Google Docs in my class, so I use Google Chrome. I actually like Firefox a lot, but Chrome for all of my assignments in this class makes it work a lot better. Internet Explorer is probably the one that I've had the most problems with over time, but it just depends on whichever your preference is and that. But those are the things that I tell the students is which browsers to use. And the ones that I had the least problems with. This is the software that I recommend for my students for them to use. In my class, you can use anything because I can read anything. You might have different versions of what you want them to use. Just be very descriptive. And over here, I just have some description of the assignments. My assignments for my class are always due by 9 p.m. of the due date. And I always tell them that's just the date that I'll enter it into the grade book, and then it'll appear on Power Schools. And they, they're 5, 10, 15 minutes late. It's not going to make a big deal, but it's just a way of keeping them on task. And then here you can see I've outlined all of the units that my students have to do. I still have to update this for fall. And then just kind of being a little bit repetitive. And down here I've created a calendar of due dates, and let's see what pops up. So yep, I've already updated my calendar so that for them they can see when everything is due in the class. And this is just a Google Calendar that I created for my class. And then I put a little bit about me. It was recommended to me a long time ago, be a little bit personable with your students. So I've got some links about me and my students in my classroom here. I've got pictures of me, musicians, so you can see that. And then I just have here some descriptions on how to really work on receiving full credit in my class. And then Down here, I've got some guidelines of where they should be after the first few days. You can see I have all these links built in, and I'll go through that in a minute. And then I just have some formatting things for the kids, and just basically a lot of redundancy about what the class is about. You can see this right here. It says item is not available. Ever so often, Power Schools likes to go down, up and down. And then so sometimes when I have to keep the 2 grade books for myself, I let them know so that they can see their grade book, because they're pretty particular to looking at their grades in Power Schools. All right, so I'm going to scroll way back up here to the top. So this is the announcement section. First thing you want to do is, if you want to learn how to create an announcement, it's simple. Just hit this button, create announcement. And then what you're going to notice is it's kind of like it's just a giant word processor. And pretty much Blackboard is just a giant word processor. Don't get too caught up with all of these things over here. I found that I know what they all do, but I really find that I just kind of use the ones that I know and the ones that I don't. So for example, let's just say sample announcement. So we'll make a sample announcement here. And we'll just call this "Thanks for watching my video." So over here, this is bold, italics, underline, strike through, formatting, just your general formatting things. Color text might be helpful if you want to make this, pretty colors. We'll make this one that nice weird color. We'll make it bold. But they're self-explanatory. If you just let it hover for a second, it'll tell you what each one of them is. If you want to center your announcement for whatever reason, you can do it right here. See, align center. It'll center your announcement. I'm a happy person here, so I can always add a nice little smiley face to my announcements here. But then down here, you've got things where you could record a video. Highly recommended if you want to give your kids videos. They like to see things sometimes better than they like to read them. I don't think many of us are readers. Much of us like to see or just experience. So here's a chance for you to record a video of it. Here is one that I use a lot, which is insert a file. So if you've created something and you want to attach it, like a syllabus or an assignment, or just a document that's able for them to be able to work with, you can do it right there. And then down here, you can see you can include a picture if you want to insert a picture. You can embed a video if you want to. You math people, you can do mathy things right there. This mashups is really cool. It took me a while to learn that one, but that's where you can include YouTube videos from YouTube and other areas as well. And it edit out all the things. Kind of cool. You can let you figure out on your own. And then those are your basic things. One of the big things, though, for me is that is right here. So if, like, for example, if I wanted to have them go somewhere on the internet, I could click like try using Google. So right here, I could highlight Google and come over here, and you see this link and unlink button. So I can hit this link button, and this thing will pop up, and I can just say, how about http://www.google.com. Now, one of the big things down here is target. I like to set it to open in a new window, because if you don't, it'll overtake the browser. But if it opens in a new window, then it'll open up Google in a whole separate browser, and then they can click off it. It'll go right back to where they were in the first place. So I can insert that, and now you can see that I created an announcement that says try using Google. So that's it for my announcement. Down here, you can see I have some options like, is this a date-restricted announcement or a non-date-restricted announcement? So I could have this display, like if I knew it was coming up next week, I could set it to say, let's say August 25th on the first day of classes, and say we only want this to display until the first Friday. We can do that, but for our purposes, we're going to set this so that you can see it. And then you could also email the announcement. I have found that a lot of the students do not put their email into Blackboard, so it doesn't kind of help. You can, some do. If you do this, it'll send them an email of the announcement, which is kind of cool. And then if you need to add anything, you can do it here. And now we hit submit. Blackboard's going kind of slow today. And then our announcement will be created, and it'll always automatically go to the top. So here's my little sample announcement that I created. Thanks for watching my video. Try using Google. Now, if I click on Google, this is what happens. See, it opens up a new browser. I can close that. And so that's one of the tricks that I use. So if you look down here, like for example, it says, please fill out this form. I have a Google form that I have them fill out. I got to change this to full. But my class is full of these links that I have so that I can just direct them to where I want them to go. Now, say I don't want to I want to get rid of this announcement, you just simply click on the little arrow, which happens by everything you do in Blackboard, and I hit delete. And that's kind of just the basics of the announcements. Like I said, I just put everything there so students can read. I can refer them to it. They can communicate with me and just basically get all the information from my class. The next part, if you scroll down from the top, is the student orientation. I'm going to come back to that in just a second because we're going to go to my assignments, and I'll show you how my assignments come back to orientation. Now, assignments is where all the assignments for your class should exist. So you can see for mine that I have all of these assignments built inside. One of the confusing things to students is the icons. Blackboard's icons aren't necessarily the normal look of the icons. And you can see some of them are grayed out. That means they're not available. And I've got to make them available. For example, this check your computer. That's a good one we want to make available. I don't know why I date restrict it, but we'll just turn off the date restriction, submit it, and then it should become available. And there you can see that it's available, and now they can check to see if their computer is. But see these icons right here on the left, you can see folders. That seems to be a confusion spot. So instruct the students to go click on the folders, and it should open them up. And you can see over here, this is just a web page, and this is just basically the page on that they need to look at. So if we go into my assignments, let's go into my first unit here. You're going to see Unit 1. And so my assignments are broken down by reading assignments, the actual assignments for the unit, any projects that I have, review for the test, and then the test itself. But for my purposes, we're just going to look at the reading assignments. And you can see right here, again to the left, this is just the page that they need to read, and then they can move down, page they need to read, and they can move down, page. And now it starts for them having to do things. So please complete this reading guide, which is just a Google Doc that I created for my class. But it opens it up for them, and they can copy it and use it for their future. And then after as you can see, I get kind of redundant. Here it is again, here it is again. And it's all the instructions for what they do. But that reading guide is something they fill out as they're doing these assignments. So one of the other things I do is I make them fill out a Google form, so that lets me know that they actually did their assignment, because it makes me check on them. And then when they get to the end of something, this is the biggie. Right here is the assignment icon. And that's the one that students need to know. They need to click on the link. So if you can see, I kind of labeled mine, and I also kind of I've tried to be very redundant in the beginning of my class, so that they need to click on this icon so that they can see the assignment. And here's my short assignment, and it's basically they just need to turn that in. So here's their assignment, and I've created a rubric inside of mine, and it basically says, have they done the work? Was it completed? They'll get credit for the content later on. But for me, when I'm grading it, I can just simply click on the 3 areas. Maybe they only did one thing, didn't do anything, and then did they finish all this? Gives them their score. But for them, they can actually attach their file, and then they can type a comment if they want, and they could submit their assignment. But like I said, one of the really confusing things for students is the fact that these icons on the left mean something. So folder, file, web page, page, and the big one, getting them to realize that these are the assignments. So this is the end of this first video. I'll get to a second video, and we'll go through a little bit more.